here to play games. As a matter of fact,
They're not that good at gaming. But when you develop a game, it takes more than just mechanics and graphics to make it a success. And that's when Reactor steps in, so you can focus on what matters the most, bringing your game to life. Reactor. Go beyond the game.
meet Team Reactor. They are not here to play games. As a matter of fact,
They're not that good at gaming. But when you develop a game, it takes more than just mechanics and graphics to make it a success. And that's when Reactor steps in, so you can focus on what matters the most, bringing your game to life. Reactor. Go beyond the game.
meet Team Reactor. They are not here to play games. As a matter of fact,
They're not that good at gaming. But when you develop a game, it takes more than just mechanics and graphics to make it a success. And that's when Reactor steps in, so you can focus on what matters the most, bringing your game to life. Reactor. Go beyond the game.
meet Team Reactor. They are not here to play games. As a matter of fact,
They're not that good at gaming. But when you develop a game, it takes more than just mechanics and graphics to make it a success. And that's when Reactor steps in, so you can focus on what matters the most, bringing your game to life. Reactor. Go beyond the game.
meet Team Reactor.
In the afternoon session, we are going to continue.
They are not here to play games. As a matter of fact,
They're not that good at gaming.
Investment and
But-
opportunities for the indie studios. So, gonna start now. Hello, hello. Hey, we are continuing with the program. So, hey guys, I'm gonna ask you to move. We are gonna the networking will start in the afternoon. Yeah, no worries. Hey, yeah, we need to continue, guys. We have a speaker. We have time. Yes, we will have time. Yes. We need to. Yeah, we need to continue. So there's still too much noise. We have to fit. Jere? Flicker. Give it a try. It all works. Good. All good.
All right, let me know when I can start.
You can start. I'm gonna still get the people out from the.
Okay. So, hello, everyone. So, just to very briefly introduce myself, I am a principal at Sisu Game Ventures, where we invest in mainly game studios and some games technology companies very, very early on, mainly at pre-seed and seed. I'll be talking a little bit about where the state of the sort of overall games financing landscape is right now. And I have to preface this by saying that I cannot be your expert in terms of where the publisher space is. I can mainly talk about where the other types of financiers are looking at and what has changed recently. And just to get right into things, the fact is currently that we're in a pretty bad place, in particular with equity deals. All-time low since the measurement started, I believe, right before the pandemic in 2019. And we're seeing this likely go down from here, but it seems like we basically reached some sort of plateau recently in pre-seed and seed equity deals, with kind of later stages slightly opening up. One thing to note here is that there's been somewhat of an emergence of new funds focused on project financing, which I'll get to, but at the same time, some of the existing equity funds that previously only invested through normal equity instruments have also added project financing to their capital stack, so to say. So the current numbers that I'm showing here might not be fully representative of this change. And when we look to something that here in Finland used to be quite prevalent, it is mobile funding. And the fact is that we've moved into an area, and I suppose it's not particularly much of a surprise to people focused on mobile games, where mobile funding has become even more regionally concentrated than it was before. The US effectively dead in this regard. The Nordics seeing very little activity. It feels like Sisu as a fund, alongside maybe one other one, is basically the only active fund in terms of equity for mobile studios in the region anymore. And then we've now moved into an area where we have Turkey, we have Israel, we have Vietnam emerging as a place to be for mobile games overall, and then China, where they just basically have their own dynamics in a very insular market. But this has meaningful implications for anyone working in mobile right now in regions outside the ones mentioned. And to be completely frank with you, I don't have a lot of recommendations for people in mobile here, unless you want to go the publisher route, which is challenging for mobile studios for a multitude of reasons. But I will talk a little bit about the options that studios have based on the category they occupy, and outside of publishing, as mentioned. And I'll just start with the obvious one, AAA. I don't know what to tell anyone here. I mean, AAA is screwed in every possible regard. The former bastions of AAA are only now the realm of very few studios, and anyone going in that direction should highly consider their option. But I doubt anyone here is really thinking about moving into founding a new AAA studio, so I don't go too much into that. So when we look at mobile in Turkey, Vietnam, and Israel, I mean, that's where options abound. I mean, you have VCs, you have corporate venture investors, you have the sort of new and swanky cohort-based user acquisition financing that a lot of sort of moderately successful studios are making use of. And you have even local specialized lenders and even banks that are now willing to look at mobile because they've sort of seen consistent returns coming from some even smaller studios. So that's the space where you have a lot of options available, and that is generally only applicable to small ecosystems for a moment in time as well. So those regions will see their moment in time, and maybe Finland's will return at some point. And so I assume a lot of people here are more interested in the indie and AA area. And that's where we are seeing the most sort of new entrants and differences in models. So one thing is that we have new emerging specialist funds that do sort of flexible revenue share-based structures to help companies at various stages, but maybe unfortunately mainly in finishing games that are now, these funds are emerging. Some have been around for a few years, but it's very much a new category that's still finding its feet. But these funds that some of them that I'll get to are funding games anywhere from a few $100K in budget to multiple tens of millions in the sort of upper ends of AA. And at the same time, you also have the usual corporate investors, a lot of them currently Korean, who are still allocating equity capital, but they usually look at the very specific types of games that are fit for their overall direction as a larger entity. And then when we look at mobile outside Turkey, Vietnam, and Israel, I mean, if you're already making money, you have access to cohort-based UA financing, but otherwise, it's basically just angels and whatever tax credits or grants that might be available in those regions. So I think we've all basically moved to something similar to that was in, let's say, 2019 for mobile games before the heyday of games financing for a sort of 3 to 5 year period. So when we look at some of these emerging specialists, we have maybe the primary one is a company called Denmu, which is by some former VCs in the space who are allocating, I think, $50 million into mainly PC, not necessarily focused that much on console, given the state of the industry right now, and willing to invest in projects that are from, let's say, 18 months from launch. So a lot of these players are looking for games that can bring them fast returns, which is obviously quite problematic for anyone looking to start a new studio. Very few options there, unfortunately. Then there's the interestingly named Leroy Jenkins Capital from the former Riot CEO, who is specifically investing in European indie AA studios working on survival games, which is a rather limited category. Let me say that. But hey, that's fine if they want to go that route. LGK is doing equity, Denmu is doing project financing, and then there's one that I wish I could talk about, but a person from the sort of AAA space in the US is setting up a fund that does project financing and helps on the production side, but not the publishing side. So bit of a different approach. But at the same time, this is the direction that we'll see. So a lot of small specialists that are going to trend toward a revenue share model where they still expect publisher involvement. In some cases, it's self-publishing, but mainly they expect publisher involvement in a lot of these cases down the line, even if they've invested for a share of the proceeds over time. So what should you then understand about the investment landscape? And I don't know if a lot of this is going to be too surprising for people who have observed how games are funded, but the fact is that games are getting funded later and later on at the moment, and the crux of financing is largely going to be about player interest rather than, and proven player interest in some form, rather than just a build. I think there are so many companies that have impressive builds that is a dime a dozen. The fact is that you need to show something rather, let's say, more certain, not that wish lists are certain anyway, but more certain than just an impressive build. I mean, a lot of these people who are in this space, be they publisher or investor, have been gotten burned by what they considered to be a great looking game, but something that couldn't find an audience. But that, I feel like that is ultimately your current pre-financing deliverable rather than the build. So the fact is, for most companies, is that if you don't immediately know that you should go for venture financing, don't talk to me. And I'm not saying that I don't want to talk to you, but it's a waste of time for you. And you should not, by any circumstance, really start to modify your approach to cater to people like me. We have our own interests, and we expect certain levels of outcomes. And for 99.9% of indie and AA studios, it is a detriment for you to work with most VCs. It sets you on a path that a lot of you might not be willing to go on if you actually thought about the implications of working with growth-based equity financiers who have very specific sort of expectations for what the return profile of investments should look like. And third, I think with AI, and I'm not going to talk too much about AI, it is that AI, there was a time where it was fresh in the eyes of investors, but it will not get you funded. But to be frank, I still see principled opposition, and I, to an extent, understand it. But the fact is that that is a luxury to anyone looking to build a business from scratch at the moment. If you can be principally opposed to AI, go nuts. But if the survival of your business and the livelihood of your employees is at stake, then I think it's a bit of a luxury to be opposed. The thing is that ultimately a lot of this will come down to how can you make a game on a lower budget. Oftentimes what you have is outsourcing to low OpEx countries or AI. And it doesn't necessarily have to be that you're generating assets, maybe you shouldn't, but we constantly see studios using AI in a very sophisticated way to make improvements on the margins, and you can be sure that literally every game coming out of China, regardless of scale, has been made with heavy AI involvement. And they are running circles around a lot of people right now. So basically table stakes at the moment. And then, as I alluded to before, finishing funding for most studios is the most accessible form of financing available right now. And this is largely because there's just a huge supply of studios that are this close to being at launch. And obviously this leads into a position where, yeah, it's a buyer's market. I mean, a lot of these, every studio needs money. Well, not every studio, but regardless. The ones that have more to show are the ones that only need that few $100K to launch their game in, I don't know, 10 months. And this is the segment that a lot of these investors are catering to. So, and only a few specialists are now focused on early stages. There was just one new one, I think First Point Ventures, that was just announced, that's doing like AI-focused game studios, whatever that means. One thing I do want to leave you with, because I know overall time is quite short, is that we're moving toward a future where games financing starts to look a bit more like film financing has looked for a number of decades. So what does that actually mean? With revenue share-based financiers entering the market, we're moving in a direction where you have rev share financing, you have grants, you have government tax credits in some regions, those are kind of early building blocks for something that is the common way of funding films. But what we're missing is some sort of infrastructure to augment these approaches, and it can look like various, and look at that in various ways, but the normal way in film would be that there are specialized lenders who understand the risks involved with games and broadly understand games as well, and then can lend against these grants, these tax credits, to an extent the revenue share financing as well. And there might be even senior lenders to those who underwrite this risk for these specialized lenders and whatever. And then a set of sort of well understood and standardized documents that govern how these investments are made, and a level of like early success coming from tests in this area. But I know not enough people in the industry that this seems to be the direction that this is going into. Whether this is a good thing, I don't know how to say that yet, but at the same time, there are other indications that this is kind of the future in some ways. I mean, film financing in a lot of ways is dominated by sort of these production co-ops where different producers really pool their funds and enjoy the fruits of any successes in a pooled way. And now we're seeing, for example, one of my favorite publishers, which is Kepler, be structured in exactly this way, and seeing massive successes with games like Sifu, obviously Expedition 33. There was a smaller success in Scorn, and even Rematch now, where a lot of these studios are incentivized in a bit of a different way going forward as part of the semi-co-op structure of Kepler. But I think that's pretty much it for me for now. So hopefully this was useful. I didn't really know what the makeup of the audience was going to be this time. So hopefully this was not just a soup of jargon. Thank you.
Yes. Hello. Thank you, Jere. And you're gonna stay, and now we are gonna have the panel. So sorry, we don't have time for the questions, but we are going to have a panel where I prepared the questions, we collected the questions while you were registering for the event. So let's do it. Hold on a second. In the same order. Very good. So thank you, Jere, once again. And now I have on the panel with me Jussi, Natasha, Jere, and we also have the mics for you. So in this session,
I'm the odd man out here.
In this session, we are going to talk about the opportunities for the indie games and investment, a little bit less about the AI. But when people were registering for this event, we let them ask the questions. So there's a few that we saw, a lot of them were like in the same order. So first question would be is that, sorry, again, coming back a little bit to this rapid area of AI development, is that how do you see the individuals, especially in Finland, as like university students and even some senior people, what is it that they need to do, or what kind of skills you feel they need to have to be able to like ride this wave of AI or to stay relevant like in the industry?
So let me go first. So I think with the now even more importantly than before, when you apply to any job, gaming job, you want to show that I've done something. I've made a game, I've published a game. All that gives you a lot of points. If you just say, I like making games, I use AI, that's nothing. So you need to do something. And if you don't have that experience, go out there, do something, and then apply for that job. But like, we alone, we're seeing so many applications, and like 70% of that is just like nothing. It's just noise, because people they're not really applying. They haven't done anything. They are not applying for that job. They are just sending applications, and that's different.
I see.
Well, I was maybe I'll let you start since I was
All right.
talking now.
Yeah, so hi everyone, Natasha Skuld here. So I'm actually a teacher also at University of Turku, game design and digital art and interactive experiences. And in my courses, both we actually cover as well AI tools, because it has to be now as a part, especially in the digital art side and game design. So first things first, to be very clear, AI in games, and it has to be also clarified what is AI and what is different kind of LLMs and whatnot. Because again, our industry always had, we all have AI as a core of our development, which was never the thing to replace people. But the thing is that now with this hype and lots of miscommunication what this new Gen AI stuff is, people have, at least leaderships in different areas, are treating things not so well as we see the results of it. But you as an individual, doesn't matter are you a student, developer, in whichever stage, being literate about AI tools overall is a must. It's something that we have to. And it's not just about literate how to use, especially how not to use it. And what does that mean for your product? What does it mean for your business, especially for those who are more into entrepreneurial side? Because you can't protect IP and do the license and everything else with just AI stuff that you make. That is literally, doesn't belong to anyone, whatever it's AI generated. So therefore, please be literate about it and how you use these tools. But again, usually in game companies, like our own, even that we are small in the studio still, even that we have 28 people, but still small considering, we have 16 artists out of that number. And the thing is that, again, AI tools can, of course, speed up certain things, but we do everything by hand, basically, in the house, especially for our own projects. While AI tools are excellent to work with clients or whoever, because usually clients have no clue what they need, but they know what they don't want. So it's really good when they come and like, hey, and this is great, so it saves our time. But that's a literacy. So that's one thing that I would kind of point there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I can really speak to a lot of the sort of concerns coming from people who are, for example, in university. This is not necessarily my area, but to say a few things on the AI side, I think the fact is that we're seeing like a widening between the gap in output between some developers who I'd say are average and then the ones who are excellent. And I think now, especially for a lot of younger folks, is the time to take control of a new form, not necessarily a new form of development, but a augmented form of development so that you can separate yourself from the pack. And when it comes to then how AI actually sort of impacts a lot of daily work we see, is that it removes, frankly, a lot of the bullshit from that you'd have to deal with, where you might continue working on the game in a very similar way with small augmentations, but at the same time, language models can handle things that you just don't want to. But for students, maybe I can't really add that much to this.
Okay, my next question was also one of the top on the list, is that what do you think, or what about your maybe like companies need to do to succeed in this AI transition period, especially when it comes to skills competence and skills development for the, let's say, employees?
Okay, so I can start again. So as our business is mainly focused on co-development, meaning we work with publishers. We typically don't self-publish. We kind of do that, but we don't want to. We work with publishers on multi-year development projects. So of course that to do that, we need to convince them to work with us. To partner with us, we need to differentiate from other studios. We need to be better than the competition. And AI is giving that another flavor, because we need to take note of that. We need to include that in a way that's actually appealing to that one client. So for example, as we work on Squishmallows Match, we don't use any AI on the art because that's super important for the IP. And we can still provide super high quality on that. So I don't know. It's like a kind of a new talent to the industry, that now there is a new role. There's AI, and it's actually in all the roles, and you have to take it into account in everything you do, basically.
Yeah. Well, maybe I can continue from there. I think to me, when it comes to overall skills in the AI era, I mean, frankly, it's just mainly how do you augment yourself with AI in the correct way for the given context. And I don't have like specific recommendations, and I think that's also largely going to be very dependent on whatever established pipelines you have, what can you do in the bounds of that. But maybe if you are, for example, as a company moving toward a new project, like what from your previous pipeline do you essentially want to throw away as part of this, so that you're actually ensuring that your staff is upskilled through that augmentation without being too caught up on, okay, we used to do it in this way and it sort of works, but might not be the most sustainable anymore.
To add to that, especially from the perspective of purely indie development studio, which is self-financed, self-published, does everything in the house, and being self-sustained for now 9 years. So it's, I think we put a lot of effort on constant training of our staff, everyone equally, in different, so the skills are constantly being trained. And that's something that our industry requires. Doesn't matter now, do you work on your own projects, on B2B side and so on, especially if you work on B2B side, you have to know your shit. There is no shortcuts and so on. Now, which tools you use, like I also work with quantum computers. Like, it's, for me, it's just yet another tool, just like it would be any other. So it's not solving anything for me. I am the one who needs to come up with things, but it's giving me ability to maybe speed some stuff, maybe to, depending now what is the thing, but it's also like, what are you using it for? And I think that was also reflected in some talks today before, that you don't just use something for the sake of using it. It should be used with a very specific goal in mind, and also at the end of the day, what does that bring value to our users, meaning our players? And you might have noticed, especially among indie games, players do not appreciate AI content. Mobile maybe, I don't know, but gamers, oh boy. Like, so this is really something to be aware of, which I think hopefully some leadership will also listen a bit, listen to your players. And that what that also means, because it can also backfire depending what kind of games you do. We do action-adventure RPGs. That's a no-no in our, currently, like, no. So everything, for example, Willowguard now today is actually launching DLC. Everything is organically made, free-range coders, free-range artists.
Grass-fed.
Grass-fed, and that's the thing, there is no greener grass. You need to literally, water your grass to make it grow. That's literally how it goes. So you need to put effort to train your people. That's it. Doesn't matter what other tools are coming, what platforms are changing, what is going on. That's our industry. And if someone cannot keep up, maybe that's not industry for them. Like, especially in this is our reality. Like, we can't depend on whoever will gonna put more money into something. No offense to investors, but it's like, like they can pull the plug anytime, and then what? So you need to be very kind of clear what you want and how you want to, again, because we need to listen to the players. And that's something that everyone keeps forgetting when talking about these tools, which, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of sides to all that. And one thing we often talk about AI as a tool set to augment your skills as an individual, be that developer, artist, marketing expert, whatever. But the thing that I know at least Tatu touched earlier today is you need to take a step back and you need to look at the whole process of what you're actually going to do, because that marketing specialist can actually run a team with AI agents, and that is so much more than like augmenting themselves in the tasks they are given, but they can actually achieve so much more. And that is something that I think a lot of like entry-level people could learn, and they could show that when they apply for a job or seek opportunities. Like, you can, like now more than ever, you can solo develop a game. Like, you can do everything. And that's a really concrete thing to show. I've made this game fully. I might not know anything about art or audio, and I don't, like, maybe I'm not like I wouldn't want to publish this game, but at least I built this with these tools, and this is how I did it. And at least for me, that tells a story of that person, like what they could do.
Interesting. Cool. So, Jere, I have a question for you. What are the key changing investment trends you see in this area of AI?
In AI in particular, well, I don't know if AI is necessarily changing all that much. I think ultimately we're seeing the fact being that AI sort of, specifically when we look at something like mobile, it is only accelerating both the positive aspects and the negative aspects of the existing sort of dynamic on mobile platforms. Like, for example, you would have, as you said, like marketing becomes a space where you can do, where previously a small studio could do only quantity or quality. Now you can do sort of both. But at the same time, then you still have the bigger companies who are also doing the same with hundreds to thousands the times of the resources you have as a smaller studio. So I think it's from an investment perspective, not that much has really changed. It just means that the dynamics that previously existed, like how brutal the UA environment is, how quickly games get cloned if you find something that could potentially be a hit, those are basically the same, but everything is just accelerated. So
I still want to have one more question for you.
Okay.
I'm interested to know, do you see in your like requests or people that reach out to you, do you see more companies that are solo like developers?
well, not necessarily. I mean, maybe a slight bit, but for us as investors, we're not necessarily the big fans of investing in solo developers or solo founders, because usually that means that there's a single point of failure. Like, what if this person gets sick for 2 months? What happens then? So I think for us, we just don't really like to invest in solo founders just because we don't believe that that's a wise decision for us to do because of certain risks. But that's just our opinion. Yeah, I mean, I would perhaps say that there's a bit more, but usually don't see a lot of solo developers looking for venture financing in the first place.
Interesting. Okay. What are the common challenges and missing gaps you noticed especially in the Finnish like gaming startups in the early stage?
Oh God, where to start? So I think the big challenge that we've seen in Finland is that Finland never adapted to the maturing market, and I'm talking about mobile in particular because we haven't funded a lot of PC console companies in Finland, where mobile moved from an era that was dominated by exploring new design space. And that's what Finns are across every type of industry and area very proficient at, because we have great engineers, we have an appreciation for design as a craft. And that leads us to a space where we prioritize novel and exceptional design as a way to succeed in business. But the problem in an industry like mobile that is hyper mature, hyper competitive, and flush with new products all the time is that design edge is no longer an edge. What is actually an edge is the ability to execute on whatever concept you might be going for within that hyper mature market environment, which usually means very high velocity live ops, an extreme focus on product management as a differentiator from a perspective of building a sustainable business, and then obviously the sort of absolutely degenerate state of the mobile user acquisition market and how you respond to the needs of that, which might be you producing thousands of creatives a month. And how can you, as, for example, a Finn, compete against the Vietnamese or the Turkish who might work literally twice the amount you do. And I'm not saying this just to be like hyperbolic. Those cultures in how they work are absolutely psychotic. And as a Finn, you have to answer the question like, if I'm not willing to do the same and my team is not willing to do the same, what gives me that advantage in a market that prioritizes you being able to make as many iterations as possible with the least amount of resources and time available?
Interesting. And actually, this is also maybe to all of you. What do you see are the common mistakes indie game developers make when pitching the game, be it a publisher or investor?
Well, I think the biggest mistake is to just pitch the game for an investor. I mean, as an investor, we are investing in a company, we're investing in a team, and we do not want to be too obsessed by where the product is. We want to see a philosophy that is like underlies the company and the product that we can trust in, and that comes from the people. Like, you need to pitch to everyone, especially in the equity realm, why you specifically are the right person and why your team is the right team to work on whatever you're working on. And everything else sort of flows from there. I mean, I can look at your product, and that is a proxy for you as a person. Like, what does the product tell me about you as a founder? And that's ultimately what we're investing in at Pre-Seed especially. So that's what matters to us.
I think one obvious mistake that I've made many times myself and seen other people do it as well is that you focus on your pitch, whether you're pitching your game or pitching your company, and when you get that feedback, you don't actually use that. You just kind of think that, okay, that's that guy's opinion. I love my pitch, and I'm just going to keep giving it. No, you should go back and you should really put time into evaluating what that expert just told you.
Yeah, I mean, depends to whom you pitch, because it's completely different way of pitching to investor and to a publisher, and also what and how and so on, and every product is different and so on. So the pitching itself is, and also do you maybe pitch a service as well, like we have had some services today as well. I haven't been pitching games to publishers and so on for a while, so because or definitely not for investors, because we don't want investors in a team. But what I've seen mostly mistakes, especially through mentorships and so on, is that people focus on some little details which actually don't matter, really. And very often they don't see the big picture that investors, for example, want to see, or what publisher wants to see. So that's the thing. You really need to cater. First of all, you need to do your homework to whom you are pitching, and which is that publisher, and what other games they have. And like, you really need to do your homework to understand how to communicate, because like any other sales, you are selling it. And if I'm selling an apple to, let's say, 7-year-old girl, 40-year-old busy mom, or 70-year-old grandpa, it's the same product. I'm talking about actual fruit, apple. It's about communicating. So that's the thing that lots of it, and then these kind of details which none of them care about, instead of really going, and also lots of bullshitting. Don't bullshit. Be straight to the kind of what it is and what you can be, and this sort of like why, again, as I said, what it is that, why you with that product, why now? And the thing is that you can together then with investors, especially when the discussion goes, or publisher, like, okay, let's solve it together. What could be additional pivoting even at the spot, so that you can show even in pitching that sort of like, hey, we could actually pivot it that way if there is a synergy, but you read the room. This is something also that you see, like how, but you will see everything on their faces if you start actually paying attention. So communication overall is something that has been a big problem.
Yeah, and exactly what she said. You're pitching to somebody, and you should always like keep them in mind what they are looking for. You should pitch why they or why the players would love your game or your company. You don't pitch why you love them yourself, because many times it's that. You explain the design, you get into those tiny details, that what you really love about the game. Nobody really wants to hear that.
I would add to that that I would love to see more companies actually show me why players love the game or potentially would love the game, because we see more and more sort of savvy studios try to validate those ideas, partly using AI and short-form social platforms as early on as possible. I mean, on those platforms, in a way, quantity is a way to get to quality. And some studios, for example, might produce one short a day and then slowly converge on the best concepts specifically with that game that appeal to their audience, just looking at the kind of development of their metrics and views and engagements over time.
I have another question before we start the questions with the audience. Today we spoke a lot about AI and how it accelerates development, and I want to find out, how do you see a small team in Finland, let's say like a startup or indie studio, can test and prove the product market fit?
I feel like I just answered that question.
I mean, one thing that is super important is that from day zero, actually two things. From day zero, whatever product you are even conceptualizing, like let's be honest, immediately start thinking about IP strategy as well as product strategy. Please trust me on this. The umbrella of other stuff you can do under world building is insane. And there is also now lots of funds, finally, for also this sort of cross-media, transmedia, call it whatever you want, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing, that you are basically expanding your world to the audiences of different interests, different, like affinities and so on. But your product is still there. So that's one thing. And the second thing, when it comes to kind of like, don't ever allow, no matter to whom you are pitching, or you have a deal with a publisher, or whatever it is, be in charge of your community and your players. Always have your data in check and your way of communicating directly to the players. Doesn't matter what the publishers do, have your ways and have that something that it's really clear. Because once again, different deals, different stuff can happen. And what happens if, for example, they close certain, let's say, servers or something else happens, so you can't even reach out properly to your players and your community. Because community, just like Jere said, it is your benchmark to also show that there is interest, and negotiations are completely different. This is why wish lists are super important in PC when you are pitching. Otherwise, in actual sales mean nothing really, because there is no guarantee that these wish lists are actually going to convert per se, but they do show the interest to, when you are pitching, that you actually have something that lots of people are actually generally interested. So keep your data. Data is the power, like really. And that's something that then based on that data, again, if you don't know how to analyze it, you don't know how to do it, find a mentor. Like we have even here mentorship program and everything. Work with other, like all of us are open to collaborate with and it's, again, free time thing, chit chat, mentorship, where one can actually, help you out with your numbers, because sometimes numbers are tricky and not so clear. So, I mean, I would always go to, let's say, Jussi or Jonni from Dreamloop, like it's just like, yeah, like, hey, check this out, like, because there is trust. And I know that same way it goes back, of course, like whoever needs something, I'm more than happy to help with this stuff. But trust the data and be in charge of that data, because again, that's really where your power is as IP owner, especially.
Yeah, for me, kind of stating the obvious is that nowadays you can fail even faster than before. So get your product out there, test it, make a prototype, learn from that, kill your darlings, go forward, make another game.
Oh, and to add to that, exactly, don't wait too long to push the button. That's another mistake that happens.
Don't wait.
Don't wait. Push the button.
One thing I would maybe add to that real quickly is that publishers are also interested in developers who indicate that they as personalities are a good shepherd for their product looking at a specific community. Like if you as a developer can really speak to the audience, given that we're in a, let's say, age of faux authenticity, that's what a lot of people look for. They look for a connection with the developer, and they care about the studio, not necessarily because it's some sort of diffuse entity that's out there. No, they care about it because there's a face. Like even we see it from like recently Vostok, for example, where he's a great ambassador for his game. And there's been recently a lot of other examples of this as well.
Thank you so much. Do we have questions from the audience?
All clear.
Yes.
As you mentioned, the numbers might be tricky, and I'm curious how perfect my numbers, my financial numbers should be for the investor to be interested and understand that I'm not bullshitting him.
I have a difficulty answering this question. Can you, if I can answer you ask a question in return, so I can get a better idea? What are you building? Are you asking this from a specific like context? Yeah. Can you let me know?
I was pitching my game 2 times in the last couple of months, and the first time the main feedback was that they don't believe the budget.
Right.
So it was, I underestimated it. It was obvious, and every investor said like, we don't believe in your budget. We will not give you anything.
Well, I mean, I think in large part this comes back down to ensuring that first you have estimated the budget in relation to your own team's capabilities in a realistic way, and if you think that you have done so, what can you prove based on what you can do now that would alleviate those concerns? Can you showcase something that even if they think this might be a bit unrealistic, they see whatever you produce and be like, wow, I mean, maybe they can actually do it after all. But I don't know, I think this is a difficult question because it's so dependent on a category and how your team looks like and how your capabilities as developers end up like looking like to any publisher or investor. So I don't know if I can answer that any better than that.
You had a question? One more.
Hey, Samuli here, CEO of XP First. I'm quite focused on communities, and I want to ask Jere specifically, what do you think takes priority in the eyes of an investor or publishers per se? Viral potential or community engagement on Discord?
What does viral potential mean? Like this is the question for me, because like I think not a lot of people are going to be that interested in potential. It is that like, have you showcased that in some way? I mean, then that becomes more tangible, but I don't think anyone's going to be that interested in just what I define as potential, but maybe we're like discussing semantics here. In terms of like Discord, I think Discord is very hard to parse. Like understanding why people are there, what does an absolute number of people in a Discord mean, especially if it's quite low. I don't know how to parse that usually. To me, it's more important to see like, what is the velocity? Are you growing? Is there a lot of engagement there? Is there excitement? Are people like producing things even when they're not asked? Is there this sort of gravity around you and your product that is obvious from how people act in relation to it? I think to me those are more important than like, I see a lot of these like, our Discord has 10,000 users. I'm like, I don't know what to do with that.
May I answer maybe, like if it's okay? Because it's also with, doesn't matter, like even if your content goes viral, what did that result? So basically, what is the conversion of that? So basically how, I mean, this is from my age of previous life in mobile, which serves so well in PC, by the way, because when you completely separate kind of like and work on a service instead of thinking it as a one product, but game becomes a service even if it's premium on Steam. Anything you do on socials, it should get something as a call to action, something back, wherever, going to your newsletter, going to your Discord, whatever it is, a wish list on Steam, I don't know, like whatever it is that you have, it has to have conversion. These are the things I would look, not how many views I got, or basically compared to that views, of course, how many actually, just, you know, basic, you know, like data stuff. So basically, how many we actually got into what we want to do. And that's where the value is, where you actually see that your messaging works with what you show, with what you say, and enough interest to do that steps that comes there. Because that is the value that you can then pitch to him.
Yeah, I mean, I would maybe add to that I agree with this. I think we've seen a lot of companies that say like, okay, we had these short form videos, like maybe on TikTok or Reels, where we got these amount of views, and we had those 2 months ago, and we haven't been able to replicate them, and we don't have an idea of how that turns into an actual funnel for anything meaningful. So yeah, if that's what viral potential means, then that's irrelevant. But if we're going to something where it's like turning into wish lists, or you have a funnel to your Discord and it keeps growing each time you post, then whatever. I think that's up for you to define what is most meaningful, but I think it has to be well defined.
Thank you. Thank you. We can continue with, like, you can ask the questions. I want to big hands for the panel. Thank you very much.
We'll take these.
We have speaker.
Hello, everyone. How are we doing? We're doing still good? Cool. All right, so we are Game Makers of Finland. I'm Vilma Ramona. I'm the chair of our board, and with me I have Milla, who's our executive director. And we're here to tell a tiny bit about us, and then talking about the salary survey results of last year, and then going a little bit more into the themes of today. So, really quickly about who we are. We're a labor union specialized in the game industry, officially founded in December 2017, which makes us the first of its kind in the world. Currently, our members cover about 20% of the Finnish game industry workers, and if you want to join them, you can find out more information on member benefits and services on our website, which you can access through the QR code shown here, or go to peliala.fi on your browser. We are part of a larger ensemble with the Union of Professional Engineers in Finland and Association of IT Sector Employees, and as our member, you access their member benefits and services as well. Our mission and vision is to be a positive force within the industry through advocacy and supporting our members, as well as everyone else in the industry. Some of our achievements include creating salary recommendations based on our annual salary surveys, and we'll be briefly going through last year's surveys results in the next part. We've been able to help the industry workers in some key issues of the industry through indirect and direct action, such as discrimination, crunching, change negotiations, and other fun stuff. Now I shall give the floor to Milla to go through last year's survey's results.
Yeah, good day all, also from my side. So we do this salary survey every year, and we ask the surveys open in every October. So these results are from last October. Are you ready? Yes. Woohoo! Good. So we got 146 respondents, and this background information goes hand in hand with the Finnish game industry. And I'm so sorry, but I have to mention that the majority of the Finnish nationals, the number is 6, 7. No, okay, yeah. But it's the picture of the Finnish game industry overall. And some highlights that we want to give from this slide is like, I can't actually, oh here. Most of the answers, the respondents were senior level workers, and then there was this mid-level and lead level. And yeah, I think you want to see the numbers. So the next slide shows that the median monthly salary is 4,313 euros, but it was really wide range of the salaries. Of course, some have answered 0 and some answered more than 10,000 euros per month, but median is 4,313. Which is quite nice thing is that 52% of the respondents got increase of their salary last year. That's a good thing. So over half of them got salary increase. And on the right side, you see the pink thing, and that was the question about, is your salary kind of enough? Is your salary the salary that you think that you deserve? About half felt that their salary matched actually the demands of their work, but almost half said that no, it's not enough, I should earn more money. And that's something that we asked actually for the first time, and I think we will ask again this year. And hopefully, well, I don't know even what I'm hoping, but answer to the survey if and when you see it and give your own answer. And here, we also study the top categories and how much money people earn in those categories. Can you actually see from the back, can you see the numbers? Good, good, good. So, in the brackets is the last year's amounts, and there has been some changes, but mainly actually I think the most important number is the median. So it's in this kind of studies, the median is usually the correct way to compare the salaries. And we asked for the first time that that community management, how much do they earn? And the median is 3,000 euros. And we will also keep that in this year's survey that will study the top categories even deeper. And there is huge difference in the QAs. So their salary has increased, or we have to admit that the people who answered in 2024 are maybe not the same people who answered last year's questions. So there could be that kind of variabilities, or then the QAs who had answered, they are in the lead positions or the senior positions. So that also explains the variation. Is there any surprises for you at this time? Okay, no surprises. Good. And then deeper. So this is shows the comparing by gender, and then the position, are you lead, senior, mid-level, or junior? And I want to highlight one thing in this, and that's the junior level. So it has decreased, and actually the average amount has decreased 500 euros. That's a lot. But it also means that shows that there's lots of more juniors in game industry, and there is so many newcomers, so many juniors, that their salaries will go lower, because so many do understand this comparison that it's the law of demand and buying kind of thing. So it's, but I'm quite happy that it's still over 2,000, and I'm really curious what it's going to be in the next year. Hopefully over 2,000 and much more. And then one more numbers here. And this, we ask about the employer situation and the future outlook. 24% feels that their workplace's future is completely secure. It gives many percents that don't feel that the workplace is secure. So really insecure times has been and still is. And 40% says that the layoffs are as at least a possibility in their company. 40%, almost half of them, that's quite worrying thing. And it shows that the industry is really unstable. Something else I want to point out is actually that pink right side thing that we asked, that do you want to continue working in game industry or in your current job? So 50% said that they want to continue working at the same job, at the current job, but 30% has decided, has considered to switch to another game company. And of course, 8% says that they have at least considered of quitting to work in the game industry, and that's also one thing that we are really worried. And just few, a summary of the open-ended responses. We found 3 main topics, and first is the well-being and coping at work. So people really want resources, more resources for stress management, understanding burnout, and have access to mental support beyond the occupational health care that their company offers. And then the need of legal support. Many respondents said that they need and are calling for legal support because, change negotiations, layoffs, pay issues, and some other employment advices that could come from the legal services. And that's something that we offer. So the legal services and this all legal support is free for our members. And if you are not a member, but you are working in a company and you will have the change negotiations, you can still contact us and we can organize change negotiations, info sessions, or whatever you might need in your company. And then one big thing is the rights of foreign employees. So we really need to clear and improve awareness of the rights of foreign employees here. And we will continue work on that, we promise. And today, after this, we will publish even more detailed survey materials in our website, like Vilma just said, peliala.fi. And we have the larger material also in our booth, which is there. So you can come there and ask, and we can show you the more detailed statistics, and hopefully it will be useful for you all. So that was my part, and I know that we're running soon out of time, but now I give few words to Vilma.
Thank you, Milla. So next, as is the theme of this event, we're going to talk briefly about AI within the game industry. So the importance of being clear and specific when talking about AI is becoming more essential than ever. AI itself is not new to the game industry. Nevertheless, when you hear people talk about AI in events and news, rarely are they talking about the same type of AI that has been around for decades. They are most likely talking about machine learning and Gen AI, which obviously includes Gen AI, as it has been associated with the term in the broader consciousness. This, in my opinion, can cause confusion and misunderstandings, especially in those who are new to the industry or haven't worked with any AI before. Merriam-Webster defines artificial intelligence as the capability of computer systems or algorithms to imitate intelligent human behavior, or as systems that make rational and autonomous decisions, like how Dr. Tommy Thompson of AI and Games describe it. These infographics by AI and Games gives us a nice detailed look on just how deep you can go when delving into AI. Here's also a good thing to remember, that Gen AI is only one part of a larger AI umbrella, and game AI itself is a completely different topic, which used to be the focus when AI was talked about within the industry. In this industry, AI can be divided into 2 subsections. First is symbolic or classic AI, which is the OG AI that uses automated reasoning systems built to model a problem space and search it for solutions to problems. Second is machine learning, which uses statistical methods that learn from existing data in a variety of ways. This section includes Gen AI, which we'll look closer next. So yeah, generative AI or Gen AI refers to generative AI models that generate text, images, videos, audio, code, etc. in response to given prompts based on their training data. The technology itself is not inherently bad, but Gen AI works best when it's built to address and solve a specific problem. It's good at context-sensitive decision-making, but bad at building meaningful and rich outputs. It's also more environmentally friendly to use small-scale models. It's also important to differentiate between Gen AI as a technology and what the AI industry is trying to sell you. Usually, the large-scale Swiss Army knife models may bring on more burden than solutions, especially for smaller studios and individuals. These large mass-market models that are fed such astronomical amounts of data from many sources that lead to the model exploiting the works of others without remuneration, which obviously can lead to legal issues. As said before, the use case for GenAI models matter. A few examples of some companies using their models to solve actual specific problems they have are EA's Agent Merge that consolidated redundant Jira tickets, Infinity Ward's multimodal search engine for assets, and Twitch using LLMs for improved toxicity detection. When thinking about adopting GenAI model into your production, a good thing to think about is its sustainability. This doesn't just mean its environmental impact, but also the general benefits versus possible consequences. You may increase productivity and efficiency, lower production costs, and even be able to explore ideas faster, but it may come with a cost like legal ramifications and negative environmental impact if you're using a mass-scale public model, or financial strain if you're training your own model. Using GenAI might also have an effect on player sentiment and can cause some backlash depending how you use it. You shouldn't bring in a GenAI model just for the sake of it. Even though the current hype around it, it's good to stay realistic in where it works and where it simply doesn't work. Whether or not you decide to adopt the model, controls and governance are imperative. It's important to internally have discussion on AI and decide on usage guidelines. This should be done even if no GenAI will be used, and it goes without saying that the guidelines should reflect the studio's own values. The effects of this ongoing AI boom for the people in the industry and those wanting to come into it are multifaceted. Whether it's affecting the job market by being used as a reasoning for layoffs and redundancies, or resulting in a lack of entry-level work. It's good to note that fears of losing work, especially among artists and animators and QA professionals, grow faster than the direct impact on the job market as presented in the Game Dev Salary Polls 2026 by 8bit. Only about 3% of their respondents say that they have lost their job directly because of AI, although majority see it posing at least some level of risk. This doesn't mean that those fears and worries aren't having a real impact on people and job seekers. It does have an impact on the individual, and that way the well-being of the whole industry. What we as a union can do about these effects are to support the workers through direct and indirect action. We protect workers' rights, negotiate good working conditions for them with the employer, and provide unemployment security through an unemployment fund. We also have the capability to influence legislation and policy. We provide and share information through our website in these kinds of events, as well as individually. We also conduct support and help research into topics that affect the industry. Here, I would also like to add that gaining core skills are more important now than ever. I would highly encourage everyone to learn the core skills of whatever one would think to adopt an AI model for. For example, basic code knowledge before having a GenAI model code for you. This is important not just for future-proofing yourself, but also to be able to moderate and assess the model. As we can see, AI within the game industry is not inherently good or bad. It's a nuanced topic that in the current climate demands discussion. Be specific when you're talking about AI. By using correct terminology, a heap of misunderstandings can be avoided. Do your research. So talk to people who hold different perspectives, from researchers, programmers to artists, etc. And be wary of who is talking and where the information is coming from. Is it coming from a big AI company, a casual AI user, or someone that is generally more anti-AI? Think about what kinds of AI should you implement, if at all, And especially when it comes to Gen AI, think about the balance between the benefits and the possible consequences. Have real discussions and healthy discourse on AI, even if your own opinions lie in the extremes. We as an industry need to have more serious discussions on good practice in AI adoption and start carving a path forward that highlights how we can use AI responsibly. And remember, we at Game Makers of Finland are here for you to make this industry better together step by step. And if you want access to this presentation and, as said, the full salary survey results and more, you can find them on our website later today. And I thank you for your time, and do come talk to us at our table if you have any questions or thoughts or just want to say hi. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. So yes, Game Makers of Finland stand over there, and now we have something very special, something we have done for the first time. So I want to put this in here. All right. This is something special, something we have done for the first time, but you know, gaming industry is the most international, and with our partners from the city of Helsinki, we conducted a questionnaire to find out the Great Place to Work in Gaming award, as we call it. And I have Saya here from the city of Helsinki. Saya, maybe you introduce yourself.
Hello everyone, my name is Saya Repo from Helsinki City, and it's really a pleasure to be here and see such an inspiring community here today. So I want to congratulate all the nominees who took part in this Great Place to Work, and then I want to thank you all for being here today.
And the Great Place to Work in Finland, Great Place to Work in Gaming Awards, we conducted it in such a way that we selected 7 questions, and it was open to any Finnish gaming company. We gave the questions anonymously. The companies, we didn't get all the companies to participate. This was the first time, but these were the companies that did participate, and their employees answered the questions. Then we collected these questions because, you know, Finnish game industry and Finland, it's very transparent environment, so we wanted equal opportunities for everyone. We collected then the responses from these questions, and we found the median number. And that's how we decided upon the winners. And now, third place of the Finland Great Place to Work in Gaming Award 2026 goes to Kuasema, and I know that they were on the way here. Do we have Johannes here with us, or is he still probably on the way? Okay, we will give this nomination later. Hold on a second. And we have the second Great Finland Great Place to Work in Gaming Award goes to Nitro Games. And we have Milka here with us today, so...
Oh, flowers, that's nice. Thank you so much. We're super honored to participate for the first time, hopefully not the last time. And we highly appreciate everyone in the gaming industry trying to make it a better place to work. We are also doing our best in that. by the way, if you are a game designer and you have experience in Unreal weapon balancing and combat balancing, and you would be interested to work on a really cool IP, hit me up after this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and I just wanted to say that it was a very cool, the companies scored super high, so all the companies we know that participated, and thank you very much for the participation. And the winner is Geek Lab. Yes, yes, sir. This is your.
Oh,
And flowers too.
thank you very, very much. Well, I'm here by myself because apparently we're a great place to work, so everyone else is at work right now. Awesome. Very, 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 very pleased. I have nothing to thank except everyone that's working at us and really apparently appreciates. So I think it's down to also the fact that we're able to work with brilliant companies, so ranging from small startups to Warner Bros. With IPs like Game of Thrones. So it's very exciting. You get to work every day with something that excites you quite a lot. Plus we have we all share a common goal and are very inspired to come to work. So I think that's kind of what I guess affected the results here. But yeah, thank you very much.
Congratulations. And we also know that Helsinki is the capital of the gaming in at least in Europe. It's the most international industry, and we would like to give the Finland Great Place to Work in Gaming Award also to the city of Helsinki.
Thank you. What an honor on behalf of the City of Helsinki to accept this award as a recognition of our strong collaboration for the success of the gaming industry. As you all know, Finland is known for being the happiest place in the world, and Helsinki is one of the leading hubs for gaming industry. The sector is super valuable for the city, as it attracts global talent and investment, offers high-skilled jobs, and contributes to diversity. Over 35% of the workforce in gaming come from abroad, and that strengthens the diversity both in Helsinki and in Finland. I would like to thank the organizers and everyone involved in making this event possible. And it's not over yet, so please enjoy the networking session and make valuable connections still this afternoon. Thank you.
So thank you, everybody. I think this is it for today. We have to wrap up, and the doors have to be closed at 5 o'clock, but now it's the networking time. So thank you, everyone who joined us today. Thank you.